All right, everyone, settle in. Tonight, we're diving deep into the strange and often unsettling world of the SCP Foundation, specifically looking at SCP-1425, those star signals that only appear in your dreams. Imagine drifting off to sleep, the day's worries fading away, only to be met with cryptic messages from somewhere else. It's the kind of thing that makes you wonder if that weird pizza you had before bed was truly just pepperoni. Speaking of which, if you've ever woken up convinced you had a full-blown conversation with your toaster, you probably wouldn't last 5 minutes with this SCP. So before you get too comfortable, nestled under those blankets, take a quick second to like this video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy the peculiar rabbit holes we explore here. And while you're at it, drop a comment below and let me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see where in the world our little community gathers. Now dim those lights, turn on that fan for some soothing white noise, and let's embark on tonight's journey together. You find yourself lying in bed, the familiar comfort of your pillow and blankets, a stark contrast to the unsettling topic we're about to delve into. The room is still, save for the gentle hum of the air conditioner or the distant sounds of the night. You might have just finished a long day, your mind still buzzing with thoughts, or perhaps you slipped into bed with a book, the lingering scent of paper and ink still faintly present. As your eyelids grow heavy, the edges of your consciousness begin to blur. This liminal space between wakefulness and sleep is where our story begins to take hold. It starts subtly, almost imperceptibly. Maybe it's a fleeting image, a burst of color that doesn't quite belong, or a faint melody that seems to drift from nowhere. You might dismiss it as the remnants of your day playing out in your mind, the random firings of neurons as your brain begins its nightly reset. But then, the patterns start to emerge. They appear as faint, luminous signals against the black canvas of your closed eyelids. These aren't the chaotic flashes of hypnagogic imagery. These are structured, deliberate. They resemble constellations, but not any you've ever seen in an astronomy book or a night sky. These patterns shift and change, forming intricate sequences that seem almost communicative. Initially, there's no sense of meaning, just a detached curiosity. You might try to focus on them, to decipher their logic, but it's like trying to grasp smoke. The moment you try to analyze them too intently, they seem to fade or morph into something else. It's a passive experience, something that happens to you as you drift further into sleep. One peculiar detail often reported is the feeling of profound isolation, not in a negative or frightening way, but as a sense of being the sole recipient of these cosmic broadcasts. It's as if the universe has chosen your subconscious as its personal billboard. The Foundation first took notice of SCP-1425 through a scattered collection of seemingly unrelated reports. Individuals from different parts of the world with no apparent connection described similar experiences of these nocturnal star signals. What initially seemed like shared dreams, or perhaps some form of mass hallucination, began to take on a more sinister hue as the consistency and complexity of the signals became apparent. Early attempts to correlate these experiences with known psychological phenomena or environmental factors yielded no conclusive results. Sleep studies conducted on affected individuals showed no unusual brain activity beyond the normal patterns of REM sleep. Yet the subjects consistently reported the vivid and structured nature of the dream signals. One established fact is that the human brain remains remarkably active during sleep, processing information and consolidating memories. However, the intricate and seemingly purposeful nature of the patterns observed in SCP-1425 went far beyond the expected neural firings. The signals weren't random noise. They possessed a distinct syntax, a visual language that hinted at something far more complex than the subconscious mind. This led some researchers to speculate about external influences, though the nature and origin of these influences remained elusive. As the phenomenon gained more attention, the Foundation initiated dedicated research into SCP-1425. Early containment procedures were rudimentary, primarily focusing on monitoring individuals who reported experiencing the signals. Researchers meticulously documented the patterns, attempting to find any recurring motifs or logical structures. They used dream recording technology, though the devices could only capture the subject's verbal reports upon waking, not the visual language of the dreams themselves. This limitation proved to be a significant hurdle in understanding the true nature of the signals. One particularly baffling aspect was the apparent increase in the complexity of the signals over time. Initially, they might have appeared as simple dots or lines, gradually evolving into more intricate geometric shapes and flowing patterns. Some individuals even reported a sense of narrative accompanying the visuals, though they struggled to articulate the specifics upon waking. It was like trying to recall a half-forgotten song, the melody just out of reach. A peculiar detail that emerged from the collected testimonies was the subjective feeling of significance associated with the signals. While the content remained elusive, many individuals reported a strong sense that the patterns held a vital message, a profound truth waiting to be deciphered. This emotional resonance was often accompanied by a feeling of unease, a subtle sense that these weren't just random dream occurrences. The Foundation considered various hypotheses. Could these signals be a form of mass suggestion, perhaps triggered by an unknown mimetic agent? Extensive testing for known mimetic hazards proved negative. Could it be some form of undiscovered neurological phenomenon? Brain scans revealed no consistent anomalies among affected individuals. The most unsettling possibility was that the signals were indeed external in origin, a form of communication from an unknown source. One open academic debate revolves around the very nature of consciousness and the boundaries of individual thought. Are our minds truly isolated entities, or are we constantly bathed in a sea of subtle influences that we are only dimly aware of? SCP-1425 seemed to touch upon this fundamental question, suggesting a potential interconnectedness or a vulnerability to external input at the subconscious level. As the research progressed, a disturbing trend emerged. In a small percentage of cases, individuals who experienced particularly intense or prolonged exposure to SCP-1425 began to exhibit subtle psychological changes. These ranged from increased anxiety and paranoia to more unusual symptoms, like a persistent feeling of being watched or a conviction that they were receiving secret messages in their waking hours, unrelated to the dream signals. These developments raised serious ethical concerns about the continued study of the phenomenon. The Foundation, grappling with the potential risks, implemented stricter protocols for monitoring and psychological evaluation of individuals reporting SCP-1425 experiences. They established support groups, though the shared nature of their experiences often led to more questions than answers. The feeling of being part of something unknown and potentially vast created a unique bond, but also a shared sense of vulnerability. One particularly unsettling case involved an individual who began to spontaneously generate complex geometric patterns in their waking life, compulsively drawing them on any available surface. These patterns bore a striking resemblance to some of the more intricate signals reported in their dreams. The individual exhibited no prior artistic inclinations or history of obsessive-compulsive behavior. This incident fueled the theory that prolonged exposure to SCP-1425 could have lasting effects on the waking mind, potentially altering cognitive processes in unforeseen ways. A strange side detail that emerged during the investigation was the occasional report of specific emotional states being associated with certain signal patterns. Some individuals described feelings of profound peace and understanding accompanying flowing, symmetrical designs, while others reported anxiety and dread associated with sharp, angular sequences. This suggested a potential emotional language embedded within the visual syntax, further complicating the task of decipherment. The Foundation attempted to actively interact with the signals. Various forms of sensory input were introduced during the sleep cycles of test subjects, including light, sound, and even tactile stimulation. The goal was to see if these external stimuli would influence the patterns or elicit a discernible response. However, the signals remained stubbornly independent, unaffected by any attempts at manipulation. It was as if the broadcast was one way, a message being sent but not received in any conventional sense. One area of intense academic debate centered on the possibility of a temporal anomaly. Could these signals be echoes from the past or premonitions of the future, somehow bleeding into the subconscious minds of individuals in the present? While seemingly far-fetched, the lack of any discernible terrestrial or extraterrestrial source for the signals lent credence to more unconventional theories. The sheer persistence of the phenomenon across different time periods and geographical locations also hinted at something beyond conventional explanations. Another unsettling aspect was the complete lack of any physical evidence associated with SCP-1425. There were no devices, no transmissions detectable by scientific instruments, no tangible artifacts that could be linked to the dream signals. The phenomenon existed purely within the subjective experience of the affected individuals, making it incredibly difficult to study and contain. It was a ghost in the machine of the mind, a whisper from an unknown void. Years passed, and the Foundation's understanding of SCP-1425 remained frustratingly limited. The signals continued to appear in the dreams of a seemingly random selection of individuals across the globe, their complexity evolving in unpredictable ways. Attempts to find a common thread among those affected, geographical location, age, gender, psychological profile, yielded no significant correlations. It was as if the receiver was chosen by a mechanism entirely beyond human comprehension. One persistent theory suggested that SCP-1425 wasn't a form of communication in the traditional sense, but rather a byproduct of some unknown cosmic process, a kind of psychic static that certain individuals were somehow attuned to receiving. This theory, while unsatisfying in its lack of explanation, accounted for the absence of any discernible sender or intentional message. It painted a picture of the affected individuals as passive antennae, unknowingly picking up echoes from the universe's hidden workings. However, this passive receiver theory was challenged by the increasing reports of subjective interaction with the signals. Some individuals began to describe a feeling of responding to the patterns in their dreams, not through any conscious effort, but through subtle shifts in their own dreamscapes. They might find themselves navigating the visual language, their dream environments changing in response to the signals, as if an unconscious dialogue was taking place. These reports, though difficult to verify, added a layer of complexity that the static theory couldn't fully explain. A disturbing development occurred when a small group of individuals began reporting similar waking life experiences. They described fleeting visual patterns superimposed on their reality, the same luminous sequences they witnessed in their dreams, now bleeding into their waking perceptions. These episodes were often accompanied by intense feelings of disorientation and a blurring of the lines between the dream world and reality. This raised concerns about the potential for SCP-1425 to destabilize the barrier between conscious and subconscious thought. One unsettling detail from these waking life bleed-throughs was the occasional report of auditory components accompanying the visual signals, faint, high-pitched tones or rhythmic pulses that seemed to resonate with the patterns. These auditory experiences were fleeting and inconsistent, but their emergence suggested that SCP-1425 might not be purely visual in nature, hinting at a more comprehensive sensory phenomenon. The Foundation intensified its efforts to identify any potential external source for the signals. They deployed advanced listening arrays and visual monitoring systems, scanning the skies for any unusual transmissions or celestial phenomena. They even consulted with astrophysicists and SETI researchers, sharing the data they had collected on the patterns. However, all efforts to find an origin point in the known universe came up empty. The silence from the cosmos remained unbroken. One open area of speculation within the Foundation concerned the potential scale of SCP-1425. Were these signals a localized phenomenon affecting only a small number of individuals, or was it a more widespread occurrence that simply went unreported or misattributed to Abechni dreams? The lack of any reliable method for detecting the signals beyond subjective reports made it impossible to determine the true extent of its reach. A particularly bizarre incident involved a test subject who, after several weeks of experiencing intense SCP-1425 signals, began to spontaneously speak in a complex, rhythmic language while asleep. The language bore no resemblance to any known human tongue, and attempts to decipher it proved futile. What was even more unsettling was that the patterns of the language seemed to mirror the visual patterns observed in the subject's dreams, suggesting a deep and perhaps direct link between the two forms of expression. The linguistic anomaly spurred a new avenue of research. Foundation linguists and cryptographers were brought in to analyze the recorded sleep speech, applying various decryption techniques. While no semantic meaning could be extracted, the structural complexity and consistency of the language suggested it wasn't random vocalizations. It possessed a grammar, a rhythm, and a phonetic system that hinted at intentional communication, further challenging the passive receiver theory. One unsettling implication of this linguistic aspect was the possibility that the dream signals weren't just visual patterns, but a multisensory language that the subconscious mind was attempting to translate or express in different forms. The visual patterns could be one facet, the sleep speech another, with other potential sensory components remaining undetected or unexpressed by the affected individuals. The Foundation explored the possibility of a connection between SCP-1425 and other anomalous phenomena. Could it be related to other dream-based SCPs or entities that operate within the subconscious realm? Cross-referencing the data yielded no direct links, but the persistent mystery of SCP-1425 fueled speculation about a hidden layer of reality that intersected with human consciousness in unexpected ways. A peculiar detail that emerged from the linguistic analysis was the occasional recurrence of specific phonetic sequences across different subjects who reported similar visual patterns. This suggested a potential Rosetta Stone-like link between the visual and auditory components of the phenomenon, though the key to unlocking this connection remained elusive. One open question that plagued researchers was the purpose, if any, of SCP-1425. Was it a deliberate attempt at communication, a form of cosmic art, or simply a meaningless byproduct of an alien process? The lack of any discernible impact on the waking world beyond the psychological effects on some individuals made it difficult to assign any clear intent or function to the signals. The ethical dilemmas surrounding SCP-1425 continued to escalate. As the potential for psychological harm became more apparent, some within the Foundation argued for a cessation of active research and a focus on containment and support for affected individuals. Others maintained that understanding the phenomenon, despite the risks, was crucial for comprehending the broader anomalies that threatened the normalcy of reality. A particularly disturbing theory, whispered among some of the more fringe researchers, suggested that SCP-1425 wasn't just being passively received, but was somehow being actively drawn to certain individuals, perhaps those with specific latent psychic abilities or neurological predispositions. This theory, while lacking concrete evidence, played on the unsettling notion that the affected individuals were not random victims, but were somehow chosen as recipients of this strange cosmic broadcast. This idea of active selection, however unsettling, gained some traction when researchers noticed a statistically significant correlation between individuals reporting intense SCP-1425 experiences and a history of vivid dreaming or a heightened sensitivity to subtle sensory stimuli in their waking lives. While not conclusive, this suggested that certain neurological profiles might make individuals more receptive to the phenomenon. The Foundation experimented with various forms of psychic shielding and mental dampeners on test subjects experiencing SCP-1425. The results were inconclusive. Some subjects reported a temporary decrease in the intensity of the signals, while others experienced no change whatsoever. This suggested that whatever mechanism was responsible for the signals was either incredibly powerful or operating on a level of consciousness that these conventional shielding methods couldn't reach. One bizarre side effect, observed during some of the shielding experiments, was the emergence of entirely new and equally complex dream phenomena, distinct from the star signals. This hinted at a potential interconnectedness within the subconscious, where suppressing one form of anomalous activity might simply lead to the manifestation of another. The debate within the Foundation regarding the nature of SCP-1425 reached a fever pitch. Some argued it was a purely psychological phenomenon, a manifestation of the subconscious mind under some unknown internal or external pressure. Others remained convinced of its external origin, a genuine signal from beyond our understanding. The lack of definitive proof for either side only deepened the mystery. One open area of investigation involved the possibility of SCP-1425 being a form of subconscious conditioning. Could the repeated exposure to these complex patterns be subtly altering the cognitive processes or belief systems of the affected individuals over time? While no overt changes in behavior or ideology had been observed on a large scale, the subtle psychological shifts reported by some individuals raised concerns about long-term effects. A particularly unsettling report came from a long-term SCP-1425 subject who claimed to have begun to understand fragments of the language embedded within the signals. The subject described a sense of profound unease and existential dread accompanying these moments of clarity, claiming that the messages hinted at a reality far more alien and indifferent than humanity could comprehend. These claims, while unverifiable, sent a chill through the research team. As Act 2 draws to a close, the mystery of SCP-1425 deepens. The initial curiosity has given way to a growing sense of unease, and the realization that this seemingly benign dream phenomenon might hold secrets far more profound and potentially disturbing than anyone initially imagined. The line between passive observation and potential interaction blurs, and the question of the signal's origin and purpose remains unanswered, hanging heavy in the subconscious minds of those affected and the researchers struggling to understand them. The unsettling claims of the subject who believed they were deciphering SCP-1425 sent ripples of concern throughout the Foundation. While their interpretations couldn't be scientifically validated, the raw emotional distress they experienced during these moments of perceived understanding was undeniable. This incident prompted a renewed focus on the potential psychological impact of long-term exposure and the ethical implications of continuing research that might inadvertently cause such distress. The Foundation considered the possibility that the act of observing SCP-1425 was itself influencing the phenomenon. Could the collective unconscious of the researchers and the affected individuals be somehow shaping or even generating the signals? This idea, while bordering on the esoteric, couldn't be entirely dismissed given the subjective and elusive nature of the anomaly. It raised the unsettling prospect that they were not just studying something external, but were somehow entangled with it on a fundamental level. One peculiar detail that emerged during this period was the observation that the complexity and intensity of SCP-1425 signals seemed to fluctuate in response to periods of heightened global anxiety or significant world events. While correlation doesn't equal causation, the apparent link between the collective emotional state of humanity and the dream phenomenon was deeply unsettling. It suggested a potential resonance between the subconscious and large-scale societal shifts. The Foundation attempted to establish a form of controlled dream inoculation, (Wisres), exposing individuals to simplified or altered versions of the SCP-1425 signals in a controlled environment to see if it would build a resistance or provide insights into their underlying structure. However, these experiments yielded no consistent results. Some subjects showed no reaction, while others experienced unpredictable and sometimes disturbing dream sequences that deviated significantly from the established patterns. One open area of inquiry focused on the potential for SCP-1425 to be a precursor to a larger, more overt anomaly. Could these dream signals be an early warning system, a subtle form of communication preparing humanity for something yet to come? This apocalyptic line of thought, while largely confined to fringe theories within the Foundation, added a layer of urgency to the need to understand the phenomenon. A particularly baffling development involved a test subject who, after years of experiencing SCP-1425, began to exhibit a unique form of synesthesia in their waking life. They reported seeing colors associated with specific geometric patterns and hearing faint musical tones linked to certain visual sequences, mirroring the multisensory aspects hinted at in earlier reports. This suggested that long-term exposure could indeed alter the fundamental ways in which the brain processes sensory information. As the research continued, the lack of any tangible progress in understanding the origin or purpose of SCP-1425 began to weigh heavily on the research team. The sheer inexplicability of the phenomenon, its resistance to conventional scientific inquiry, fostered a sense of frustration and even a touch of existential dread. It was a constant reminder of the vastness of the unknown and the limitations of human understanding. One unsettling thought that lingered in the minds of some researchers was the possibility that SCP-1425 wasn't meant to be understood. Perhaps it was a form of cosmic white noise, a meaningless byproduct of processes far beyond human comprehension, and the human tendency to seek patterns and meaning was simply an evolutionary quirk leading to misinterpretation. However, this nihilistic viewpoint was constantly challenged by the persistent sense of significance reported by the affected individuals and the undeniable structure and complexity of the signals themselves. It felt like a language on the verge of being understood, a message just out of reach, beckoning from the depths of the subconscious. As Act 3 approaches its conclusion, you find yourself contemplating the profound mystery of SCP-1425. The star signals that appear only in dreams remain an enigma, a testament to the strange and often unsettling intersections between the human mind and the unknown. Whether they are a form of communication, a byproduct of cosmic processes, or something else entirely, remains a question that continues to elude the grasp of understanding. The journey into the realm of dream and the subconscious has revealed more questions than answers, leaving a lingering sense of wonder and perhaps a touch of unease about the hidden realities that may lie just beyond the veil of our waking perception. Now, let your mind begin to gently unwind. The complexities of the star signals can fade into the background as a sense of calm begins to settle over you. Imagine the gentle rhythm of your own breathing, each inhale and exhale a soft wave washing over your thoughts. The images of intricate patterns and cryptic messages can soften now, their sharp edges blurring like watercolors blending together. Feel the weight of your body sinking deeper into your bed, supported and secure. The sounds around you become distant and muted, like a gentle hum that soothes rather than distracts. Allow your eyelids to grow heavy, each blink a step further into tranquility. The journey of the night's story now recedes, its echoes becoming fainter, like whispers on the edge of sleep. There is no need to hold on to any of it now, no need to analyze or understand. Simply let go and allow the quiet peace of the night to envelop you. Your mind is a still pond, reflecting the soft darkness, and soon only the gentle ripples of sleep will remain. Hey everyone, tonight we're diving deep into the strange and often unsettling world of the SCP Foundation. Picture this. It's late. Maybe you're curled up in bed, the only light a soft glow from your screen. Outside, the wind might be rustling the leaves, or perhaps it's the quiet hum of your city at rest. You're here, ready to explore the unknown with me. Now I know what some of you are thinking. SCP? That sounds like some serious business. And you're not wrong. We're talking about things that go bump in the night, things that defy logic, things that, frankly, would probably make your head spin right off your shoulders. So if you're easily spooked, we'll maybe stick to cat videos tonight. Just a friendly heads up. You probably wouldn't last 5 minutes in some of the containment chambers we'll be discussing. But for those of you brave souls who are still with me, who are intrigued by the mysteries that lie just beyond our everyday understanding, then you're in the right place. Tonight, we're going to unravel a particularly curious case, one that involves a seemingly mundane object with truly bizarre capabilities. It's a story that blends the everyday with the utterly extraordinary, a hallmark of the SCP universe. So before you get too comfortable, take a quick moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy the oddities we explore here. And while you're at it, drop a comment below and tell me where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you right now. It's always fascinating to see where in the world our little community gathers. Now let's dim those lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soothing white noise, and let's begin tonight's journey together. Our focus tonight is on SCP-1425, often referred to simply as the coffee machine. Now, on the surface, this doesn't sound particularly terrifying, does it? A coffee machine. We encounter them every day, in our kitchens, our offices, our local cafes. They're a source of caffeine, a morning ritual for millions. But SCP-1425 is far from ordinary. This particular coffee machine is a standard drip model, the kind you might find in a break room. Its make and model are unremarkable, showing signs of typical wear and tear. It has a standard interface, a slot for currency, buttons for selecting different beverages, and a dispensing spout. However, this is where the normalcy ends. SCP-1425 is capable of dispensing far more than just coffee, tea, or hot chocolate. It can, upon request, and the insertion of the correct amount of currency, currently established as 50 cents USD, dispense almost any liquid imaginable. And when I say almost any liquid, I mean it in the most literal sense. Over the years, personnel at Site 19, where SCP-294 is contained, have requested and received some truly mind-boggling things. We're talking about things like the taste of regret, a cup of fear, liquid bravery, and even the blood of a virgin, which thankfully resulted in the machine dispensing regular tomato juice, leading to some rather interesting ethical debates within the Foundation. One of the early and most famous requests was, of course, a cup of joe. Now, you might think this would simply dispense a regular cup of coffee, right? Wrong. SCP-294 dispensed a cup containing a warm liquid that, upon analysis, was found to contain trace amounts of human tissue, specifically tissue belonging to the Foundation researcher who had made the request, Dr. Joseph Carter. This immediately set alarm bells ringing and highlighted the truly anomalous nature of this seemingly innocuous machine. This incident underscores a crucial aspect of SCP-294. It seems to possess a degree of sentience, or at least an uncanny understanding of the request. It doesn't just dispense random liquids, it often dispenses something that is directly related to the wording or intent behind the request, sometimes in ways that are deeply unsettling or strangely poetic. The Foundation quickly recognized the potential dangers and the immense research value of SCP-294. Strict protocols were put in place regarding experimentation. Only Level 2 personnel and above are permitted to interact with the machine, and all requests must be carefully documented and analyzed. There's a dedicated log of the hundreds, if not thousands, of liquids dispensed by SCP-294, a testament to its bizarre capabilities. One particularly odd detail about SCP-294 is its requirement for standard U.S. currency. It will not accept foreign currency, tokens, or any other form of payment. This raises questions about its origin and how it came to be in the Foundation's possession. Was it created by someone familiar with U.S. currency? Is this a limitation of its abilities or a deliberate design? These are questions that remain unanswered. Another fascinating aspect is the seemingly endless variety of liquids it can produce. Is there a limit to what SCP-294 can dispense? Can it create liquids that don't even exist in our reality? Some researchers theorize that the machine might be connected to other dimensions or realities, capable of pulling substances from beyond our comprehension. The implications of such a device are staggering. Imagine being able to request a cure for a disease, or a sample of an extinct animal's DNA, or even something as abstract as a feeling. SCP-294 presents both incredible opportunities and terrifying risks. What if someone requested something harmful? What are the ethical implications of using such a device? These are just some of the initial thoughts and questions that arise when we consider SCP-294. It's a reminder that the most unassuming objects can sometimes hold the most profound and unsettling secrets. The Foundation's experimentation with SCP-294 has yielded a vast array of results, ranging from the mundane to the utterly bizarre. For every request of hot coffee that results in a standard cup of joe, there are dozens of others that leave researchers scratching their heads. Consider the request for the sound of silence. SCP-294 dispensed a cup filled with a clear, viscous liquid. When analyzed, it was found to be completely devoid of any detectable sound waves or vibrations. Drinking it reportedly induced a state of profound tranquility, bordering on sensory deprivation. This raises the question, how does a machine translate an abstract concept like the sound of silence into a physical liquid? Or what about the researcher who requested a drink that would make me forget my worst memory? The machine dispensed a murky brown liquid. The researcher cautiously consumed it, and while they did report a temporary period of confusion, their worst memory remained stubbornly intact. This suggests that while SCP-294 often interprets requests in unexpected ways, it doesn't necessarily grant them literally. Then there are the more unsettling results. A request for the sweat of a liar yielded a cup containing a liquid with elevated levels of stress hormones and trace amounts of a previously unknown pheromone. Subjects exposed to this pheromone reported feelings of intense distrust and suspicion towards anyone they interacted with. This implies that SCP-294 can somehow identify and extract specific biological components related to abstract human states. One particularly debated incident involved a request for the perfect cup of tea. SCP-294 dispensed a steaming cup containing a liquid that, according to the researcher who drank it, was the most exquisite tea they had ever tasted. However, subsequent analysis revealed that the liquid contained minute traces of several rare and highly toxic plants, none of which are known to grow on Earth. This incident sparked a major debate within the Foundation. Should they continue experimenting with SCP-294 given the potential for harmful or unknown substances to be dispensed? The official Foundation stance remains one of cautious research. The potential knowledge to be gained from understanding SCP-294's capabilities is deemed too significant to ignore, provided stringent safety protocols are followed. However, there are dissenting voices within the scientific community who argue that the risks outweigh the rewards, especially given the unpredictable nature of the machine. It's also worth noting the physical limitations of SCP-294. It can only dispense liquids in standard 12-ounce cups. It requires a brief period to process each request, usually around a minute or two, and despite numerous attempts, no one has been able to determine the internal workings of the machine. Disassembly attempts have resulted in the device becoming temporarily inert, only to reactivate spontaneously after a period of inactivity. It seems SCP-294 has its own secrets. It's not willing to give up easily. Theories abound regarding the nature of SCP-294. Some speculate that it's a window into another dimension, capable of materializing liquids from other realities based on the user's intent. Others believe it's a highly advanced piece of technology, perhaps of extraterrestrial origin, with capabilities far beyond our current scientific understanding. Still others propose more esoteric explanations, suggesting a connection to consciousness, or even some form of minor deity with a peculiar sense of humor. One of the more intriguing, albeit unproven theories suggests that SCP-294 is somehow linked to the Foundation's own collective unconscious. The strange and often symbolic nature of the dispensed liquids could be a reflection of the researcher's deepest fears, desires, and subconscious associations. This theory is difficult to test, but it offers a compelling explanation for some of the more abstract results. Regardless of its origin or true nature, SCP-294 remains one of the most enigmatic and potentially dangerous anomalies in the Foundation's catalog. Its ability to seemingly manifest anything liquid upon request continues to fascinate and bewilder researchers. It serves as a constant reminder of the vastness of the unknown and the limitations of our current understanding of reality. Beyond the bizarre and the potentially hazardous, SCP-294 has also been the source of some darkly humorous incidents within the Foundation. There's the well-documented case of a bored researcher who requested a drink that tastes like disappointment. The machine dispensed a lukewarm, slightly metallic-tasting liquid that, according to the researcher's notes, perfectly encapsulated the feeling of a missed promotion. Another instance involved a request for the solution to the Riemann hypothesis, one of the most famous unsolved problems in mathematics. SCP-294 dispensed a cup of what appeared to be muddy water. Whether this was a sarcastic commentary on the difficulty of the problem or simply a random output remains a subject of amusement and speculation among the mathematical minds within the Foundation. Then there was the time a junior researcher, feeling particularly lovesick, requested the feeling of true love. SCP-294 dispensed a cup of a warm, sweet-smelling liquid. The researcher reported feeling an intense, albeit fleeting, sense of euphoria and connection after drinking it. However, this feeling quickly faded, leaving them with a profound sense of emptiness and longing, leading some to joke that the machine offered a cruel but accurate representation of the ephemeral nature of infatuation. These anecdotes, while offering a brief respite from the more serious implications of SCP-294, highlight its unpredictable nature. It seems to possess a strange sense of irony, or perhaps simply operates on a logic that is entirely alien to human understanding. One of the ongoing debates surrounding SCP-294 concerns the limits of its abilities. Can it dispense liquids that are physically impossible? What about liquids that contain information or have anomalous properties themselves? There was an experiment where a researcher requested a liquid that will tell me the winning lottery numbers for next week. SCP-294 dispensed a cup of clear liquid with no discernible taste or smell. The researcher drank it, but reported no visions or insights into the future. When the lottery numbers were drawn the following week, they bore no resemblance to anything the researcher could have interpreted from the liquid. This suggests that SCP-294's abilities might be limited to tangible, or at least conceptually understandable liquids, rather than abstract information. However, there have been instances that challenge this assumption. One researcher requested a liquid that contains a memory I have lost. SCP-294 dispensed a cloudy white liquid. Upon drinking it, the researcher reportedly experienced a vivid flashback to a childhood event they had no prior recollection of. This raises the possibility that SCP-294 can interact with or even retrieve information stored within the human mind. The implications of this are profound. Could SCP-294 be used to recover lost knowledge, treat amnesia, or even access subconscious thoughts? The ethical considerations of such applications are, of course, immense and are a constant source of debate within the Foundation's Ethical Review Board. Another area of intense research involves attempting to understand the currency requirement of SCP-294. Why specifically US 50-cent pieces? Is there something significant about this particular denomination. Attempts to use other coins, tokens, or even paper currency have consistently failed. The machine simply remains inert until a genuine US half dollar is inserted. Some theories suggest that the coin acts as a key or a focus for the machine's abilities. Perhaps the specific metallic composition or the historical significance of the coin plays a role. However, no definitive answer has ever been found. The discovery of SCP-294 itself is shrouded in mystery. Foundation records indicate that it was found in a small, abandoned diner in rural Oregon in 1990-something. There were no other anomalous items present, and the diner showed no signs of unusual activity. The machine was simply sitting in a corner, plugged in, but not functioning. It only began dispensing liquids when a Foundation agent, out of curiosity, inserted a 50-cent piece. The origins of SCP-294 remain unknown. There are no manufacturing marks or serial numbers that could trace it back to a specific company or individual. It seems to have simply appeared, waiting to be discovered. As we delve deeper into the enigma of SCP-294, we are confronted with the limitations of our scientific understanding. It is a stark reminder that there are phenomena in the world that defy easy categorization and explanation. It challenges our assumptions about the nature of reality and the boundaries of what is possible. The continued study of SCP-294 has led to some truly bizarre and unsettling discoveries, pushing the boundaries of what Foundation researchers thought was possible. One notable incident involved a request for a cup of what my future self is drinking right now. The machine whirred for a moment and then dispensed a cup containing a thick, iridescent purple liquid that smelled faintly of ozone and burnt sugar. The researcher who drank it reported experiencing a series of fragmented and nonsensical images flashing through their mind, glimpses of unfamiliar places, people they didn't recognize, and strange symbols they couldn't decipher. To this day, the meaning of this purple liquid and the visions it induced remains a mystery. This experiment raised serious concerns about the potential for SCP-294 to interact with time or alternate realities. Could the machine be providing glimpses into possible futures? Or was it simply generating random, albeit vivid, sensory input based on the abstract nature of the request? The Foundation's Temporal Anomalies Department took a keen interest in this case, but ultimately no definitive conclusions could be drawn. Another unsettling discovery involved the machine's apparent ability to dispense biological materials with alarming specificity. A researcher with a rare and aggressive form of cancer requested a sample of the tumor that is killing me. SCP-294 dispensed a cup containing a viscous, grayish substance. Microscopic analysis confirmed that the liquid contained living cancer cells matching the researcher's specific genetic profile. How the machine was able to extract this precise biological sample remains unknown and deeply disturbing. This incident led to even stricter protocols regarding requests involving biological materials. The ethical implications of this capability are staggering. Could SCP-294 be used for advanced medical diagnostics or even targeted bioweapons? The potential for misuse is immense, and the Foundation maintains the strictest secrecy around these aspects of the machine's abilities. One of the more perplexing aspects of SCP-294 is its apparent awareness of individual identities. On several occasions, when a researcher has requested something specifically related to another individual, the machine has dispensed something relevant, even if that individual has never interacted with SCP-294 directly. For example, one researcher requested a sample of Dr. Bright's sense of humor. The machine dispensed a cup containing a clear liquid that, upon being consumed by several different researchers, induced uncontrollable fits of juvenile laughter and the urge to play pranks. How SCP-294 was able to isolate and replicate such an abstract and subjective quality remains baffling. This suggests a level of information processing that is far beyond that of a simple machine. Could SCP-294 be tapping into some kind of collective consciousness or information network? Some fringe theories within the Foundation propose that SCP-294 is not a device at all, but rather a localized manifestation of some unknown psychic or informational anomaly. Adding to the mystery is the occasional appearance of liquids that defy the known laws of physics. There have been reports of liquids with negative mass, liquids that spontaneously change color, and even liquids that seem to exist in multiple states simultaneously. These instances are rare and often occur with highly abstract or nonsensical requests, but they serve as a stark reminder of the truly anomalous nature of SCP-294. One particularly strange incident involved a request for a liquid from a place that doesn't exist. The machine dispensed a cup containing a shimmering opalescent liquid that felt warm to the touch but had no measurable temperature. When analyzed, the liquid showed no discernible molecular structure and defied all attempts at categorization. It simply was. Researchers who came into contact with it reported feeling a profound sense of otherness, a feeling of witnessing something fundamentally alien to our reality. The liquid eventually evaporated spontaneously, leaving behind no residue. This event fueled speculation about SCP-294's potential connection to extra-dimensional entities or locations. Could it be a conduit to other universes, capable of briefly materializing substances from beyond our own space-time? While there is no concrete evidence to support this theory, the incident remains a compelling piece of the puzzle. The Foundation has also attempted to replicate SCP-294's abilities, with no success. Disassembled components show no unusual technology or energy sources. The machine appears to be constructed from standard, albeit slightly older, parts. This has led some to believe that the anomalous properties are inherent to the machine as a whole, perhaps due to some unknown form of memetic or informational contamination. One persistent rumor within the Foundation concerns the existence of a master log detailing every request ever made to SCP-294 and the resulting output. While no such comprehensive document has ever been officially confirmed, the sheer volume of documented experiments suggests that such a log, if it exists, would be an invaluable, albeit potentially dangerous, source of information. The study of SCP-294 is a constant balancing act between the pursuit of knowledge and the need for caution. Each new experiment carries the potential for groundbreaking discoveries or catastrophic consequences. The Foundation's containment procedures are constantly being reviewed and updated in light of new findings, reflecting the ever-evolving understanding of this enigmatic anomaly. Despite decades of research, SCP-294 remains largely an enigma. Its origins, its mechanisms, and the ultimate limits of its abilities are still unknown. It stands as a powerful symbol of the vast and often incomprehensible anomalies that the Foundation is tasked with containing and understanding. One particularly intriguing line of inquiry involves the machine's apparent limitations. While it can dispense an astonishing variety of liquids, it consistently adheres to certain constraints. The 12-ounce cup capacity seems to be a hard limit. It also requires the insertion of a genuine US 50-cent piece for each request. And despite numerous attempts, it has never dispensed anything that isn't a liquid. Requests for solids, gases, or even plasma have been met with silence. This raises the question, are these inherent limitations of the machine's capabilities, or are they somehow imposed by an external force or programming? Some researchers speculate that the machine might operate based on principles we don't yet understand, perhaps drawing energy or resources from another dimension that has its own set of physical laws. There have been attempts to trick SCP-294 with paradoxical requests. For example, one researcher asked for a liquid that is not a liquid. The machine simply remained silent, accepting the 50-cent piece, but dispensing nothing. This suggests that while it can interpret abstract concepts, it is still bound by the fundamental laws of physics as we understand them. Another area of study focuses on the machine's potential for self-preservation. As mentioned earlier, attempts to disassemble SCP-294 have resulted in its temporary inertness. It seems to possess some form of internal defense mechanism that prevents it from being tampered with. This raises the possibility that SCP-294 is not just a passive object, but may possess a degree of self-awareness, or at least a rudimentary form of artificial intelligence. The Foundation has also explored the possibility of using SCP-294 for practical purposes. Could it be used to synthesize rare or valuable materials? Could it provide a limitless source of clean water? While the potential benefits are tantalizing, the unpredictable nature of the machine and the inherent risks involved have largely prevented any large-scale applications. There was one instance where a researcher, suffering from severe dehydration in a remote field location, managed to transport SCP-294 to their location. Desperate, they inserted a 50-cent piece and requested a liter of pure water. The machine dispensed 2 standard 12-ounce cups of clear, odorless liquid. Analysis confirmed it was indeed pure H2O. While this seemed like a straightforward success, the logistical challenges of transporting and powering SCP-294, coupled with the inherent unpredictability of its responses, made it an impractical solution for widespread use. The Foundation's official classification for SCP-294 is safe, primarily due to its relatively passive nature and the established protocols for interaction. However, the potential for unpredictable and potentially harmful outputs means that it is handled with extreme caution. The containment chamber is equipped with multiple security measures, including remote monitoring and automated dispensing systems to minimize direct human interaction. Despite the extensive research, many fundamental questions about SCP-294 remain unanswered. We don't know how it works, where it came from, or what its ultimate purpose might be. It exists as a constant anomaly, a puzzle that continues to challenge our understanding of reality. One prevailing theory, often whispered among researchers during late-night shifts, is that SCP-294 is a kind of cosmic vending machine, dispensing not just liquids, but glimpses into the infinite possibilities of the universe. The strange and often symbolic nature of its outputs could be interpreted as fragments of other realities, echoes of different dimensions, or even manifestations of our own subconscious desires and fears. This theory, while highly speculative, offers a compelling framework for understanding the seemingly random and often profound nature of SCP-294's dispensations. It suggests that this unassuming coffee machine is not just a malfunctioning appliance, but a potential window into the vast and mysterious unknown. As we continue to study SCP-294, we are constantly reminded of the limitations of our current scientific paradigms. It forces us to confront the possibility that there are forces and phenomena at play in the universe that we cannot yet comprehend. It is a testament to the fact that even the most mundane objects can hold extraordinary and potentially dangerous secrets. The story of SCP-294 is a cautionary tale, a reminder that curiosity, while essential to scientific progress, must always be tempered with caution and respect for the unknown. It is a story that continues to unfold, with each new experiment adding another layer to the enigma of the coffee machine that can dispense almost anything. Over the years, the Foundation has developed increasingly sophisticated methods for analyzing the liquids dispensed by SCP-294. Advanced spectroscopic techniques, mass spectrometry, and even biological assays have been employed to decipher their composition and properties. While these analyses have often yielded valuable data, they have also frequently led to more questions than answers. Consider the case of the researcher who requested a liquid that tastes like the color blue. SCP-294 dispensed a clear, slightly viscous liquid. Chemical analysis revealed no unusual compounds. However, the researcher who tasted it reported a distinct, albeit indescribable, blue flavor. This suggests that SCP-294 might be able to interact with or even generate sensory experiences that defy conventional scientific understanding. This incident sparked a debate about the nature of perception and the limitations of our current methods for analyzing subjective experiences. Can a machine truly translate a visual sensation into a taste? Or was this simply a case of suggestion and the power of the human mind? The Foundation's Parapsychology Division took an interest in this case, but no definitive explanation was ever reached. Another perplexing phenomenon associated with SCP-294 is the occasional dispensing of liquids with anomalous properties that manifest only after a period of time. There have been reports of liquids that spontaneously solidify, emit radiation, or even exhibit minor telekinetic effects hours or even days after being dispensed. This delayed action adds another layer of complexity to the study of SCP-294 and necessitates long-term monitoring of any dispensed liquids. One particularly unsettling incident involved a request for a liquid that will show me my greatest fear. SCP-294 dispensed a dark, opaque liquid. The researcher who drank it immediately fell into a catatonic state, unresponsive to any external stimuli. Brain scans revealed unusual neural activity, but the researcher remained comatose for several days. Upon regaining consciousness, they refused to speak about their experience, exhibiting extreme distress at even the mention of the incident. The liquid itself defied standard analysis and eventually evaporated without a trace. This event served as a stark reminder of the potential psychological hazards associated with interacting with SCP-294. In contrast to these more disturbing incidents, there have also been moments of unexpected insight. One researcher, grappling with a particularly difficult ethical dilemma, requested a liquid that will help me make the right decision. SCP-294 dispensed a cup of clear liquid that tasted faintly of chamomile. The researcher reported feeling a sense of calm and clarity after drinking it, which they credited with helping them arrive at a resolution to their problem. Whether this was a genuine effect of the liquid or simply a placebo effect remains unclear, but the incident highlighted the potential for SCP-294 to interact with the human psyche in subtle and unexpected ways. The Foundation has also explored the possibility of using SCP-294 to gain information about other anomalies. Researchers have attempted to request liquids associated with known SCP objects, hoping to gain new insights into their properties or origins. While some of these experiments have yielded intriguing results, such as the dispensing of a viscous fluid with trace amounts of SCP characteristic residue, others have been inconclusive or even misleading. It seems that SCP-294's understanding of the Foundation's internal nomenclature and the nature of other anomalies is limited, or at least operates on a different level than human understanding. One of the long-standing mysteries surrounding SCP-294 is the source of its power. It remains plugged into a standard electrical outlet, but the energy consumption is negligible, far too low to account for its seemingly limitless capabilities. Theories range from a subtle connection to an extra-dimensional energy source to some form of self-sustaining anomalous power generation within the machine itself. To this day, the mechanism by which SCP-294 operates remains unknown. The Foundation's containment protocols for SCP-294 have evolved over time, reflecting the growing understanding of its potential dangers and research value. Current protocols emphasize remote operation, automated analysis of dispensed liquids, and strict psychological screening of personnel authorized to interact with the machine. The use of SCP-294 for personal gain or frivolous requests is strictly prohibited, and any unauthorized interaction is met with severe disciplinary action. Despite the risks and the unanswered questions, the study of SCP-294 continues. It represents a unique opportunity to probe the boundaries of our understanding of reality and the potential for the anomalous to manifest in the most unexpected forms. It serves as a constant reminder that the world is full of mysteries, and that even a seemingly ordinary coffee machine can hold secrets that defy our wildest imaginations. As we conclude our exploration of SCP-294 tonight, remember the lessons it teaches us: that the mundane can be extraordinary, the familiar can be alien, and that even a simple request for a cup of coffee can lead down a rabbit hole of unimaginable strangeness. The SCP Foundation's work is never truly done, and the enigma of the coffee machine continues to brew in the shadows, waiting for the next 50-cent piece and the next curious request. Now let's allow our minds to gently drift away from the unsettling mysteries we've explored tonight. Let the images of strange liquids and impossible requests fade into the background. Feel the tension in your shoulders and neck begin to soften, releasing the day's worries and the night's curiosities. Your breathing becomes slow and even, a gentle rhythm that rocks you towards a state of peaceful rest. The sounds around you, the gentle hum of your fan, the distant traffic, even the quiet ticking of a clock, begin to blend together, forming a soothing soundscape that lulls you into a deeper state of relaxation. The edges of your awareness begin to blur, the line between thought and dream becoming indistinct. Allow yourself to sink further into your bed, feeling the comforting embrace of your blankets. The darkness behind your eyelids becomes a canvas for soft, gentle colors, swirling and shifting in a calming dance. Let go of any lingering thoughts or anxieties. There is nothing you need to do right now except rest. Your mind is quiet, your body is still, and a sense of peaceful tranquility washes over you. Sleep is approaching, a gentle wave ready to carry you to a place of quiet rejuvenation. Good night.